guys, it's time for my Capital Punishment review. Sorry that it's like a day late, but by the time I finished watching it last night, like, you know what happens with the lighting in my room. I'm sorry if it's starting to go a bit funny now, but it's like 8 o'clock, so hopefully it's still light enough for me to do decent video without having to like edit all the colour and stuff. But yeah, so it was too late last night to do a video, so I thought, oh, I'll just do it today. I'm sure you guys will forgive me for being like a day late. So yeah, obviously like it was with the last pay-per-view, I haven't seen Raw yet, so this video is just going to be about the actual pay-per-view, so just Capital Punishment. So I'll do a video about Raw tomorrow, so I'm just going to watch that on my day off. So yeah, Capital Punishment, it was, you know, an average pay-per-view. You know, it wasn't horrendous, I mean, and it wasn't fantastic either. It had like good matches and some average matches and some really boring matches, but you know, so it's just like kind of a general WWE pay-per-view really. So yeah, I'm sorry that I sound a bit funny when I'm talking, but like I've got, like I said in my last video, I've got like an ulcer, and then like the whole of my throat is just like really sore. So if I have to keep coughing and stopping, I apologise. I'm still talking really, really fast, so it doesn't affect the speed of my speech, just like the actual quality of what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling and actually talk about the pay-per-view now. So, like I said in the last video, I was kind of, you know, expecting it to be decent. You know, my thoughts on it had gone up, considering the build-up had gotten better. So, the first match was Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler for the US title, and I was going into this thinking Dolph Ziggler was going to win this, and he did. So yeah, it was actually a pretty decent opener, to be honest. I thought, oh, because it's like the 100th time they fought each other, I thought it was going to be like really boring. But it was actually a pretty decent match. Kind of weird ending though, because I'm assuming that, oh, I don't really know, because I thought it looked like Dolph Ziggler was meant to go for the zigzag, but because he kind of, you know, he fell, or like Kofi's legs kind of buckled, so he kind of only really jumped on his back, and then they kind of fell to the ground. They didn't really obviously hit the zigzag properly, but then he kind of, you know, made it actually look okay, and like kind of got out of it quite quickly, and like turned it into like a sleeper hold for the win. Obviously, Kofi like passed out basically, so Dolph won. So yeah, like I said, it was a good opener. It's pretty, you know, kept going. It wasn't too dull, and obviously, yeah, new US champion. So hopefully they'll actually start doing something with Dolph Ziggler again, because he was like really like good on SmackDown, like, and then he just kind of went to doing kind of nothing on Raw. But yeah, so hopefully now that he's champion, they'll start like building him back up again. The second match was The Miz versus Alex Riley. Now you knew that this match wasn't going to be a 5-star classic, because like I've mentioned in previous videos, Alex Riley still doesn't really have much wrestling experience. But you know, so basically The Miz like had total control like pretty much the whole way through, and hit a reverse DDT. But then obviously Riley fought back and hit a spine buster, and then obviously the biggest pop of the match was when obviously Riley attacked Michael Cole and like pulled him like over the announce table and like kind of like chucked him on the floor. And Miz like tries to use the briefcase, but the referee stops him, and Riley wins with like his version of the DDT. Which, you know, I was quite surprised that Riley won really. I mean, obviously the kind of the feud had been building towards it, obviously, because he was the one that, you know, like the Miz kind of used him and was going on at him for so long. But it just was a bit kind of a surprise to see Marley, I can't talk. It was a surprise to see Riley actually win. But yeah, anyway, so it wasn't a 5-star classic, but it was very decent anyway. Alberto Del Rio versus Big Show was next. It was really weird him not having Ricardo Rodriguez announce like him as he came to the ring. That was just strange, because you just get so used to hearing it, and then so him coming out as just a normal announcer was really odd. But yeah, so basically Big Show doesn't give him an even chance to kind of come out properly. He like attacks him like as he's like Alberto Del Rio is like walking down the ramp. But then Mark Henry comes out of nowhere and does like the world's strongest slam on Big Show through the announce table, which I have to say was pretty impressive. Not really a Mark Henry fan, but seeing him just being able to lift up Big Show like that and just slam through the table was pretty cool. But yeah, so then it was weird though, because like I was thinking when that happened, I was like, surely that's a disqualification, because, you know, in any other match, if a wrestler came out and started attacking, you know, a guy, then the other person would, unless it doesn't count on the outside, but whatever. So I thought, why isn't he, like, disqualifying Alberto Del Rio? And then, the announcer said, oh, the bell hasn't officially rung yet, so I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. But then the ref started counting Big Show out, so why would he count out the Big Show if the match hadn't even started yet? That doesn't really make any sense to me. But, whatever, so Big Show got back in the ring and started the match. Big Show's selling was pretty awful, because he was, even though he'd, you know, been completely just like, you know, destroyed and stuff, and like, Alberto was attacking his leg, he still was managing to kind of run and stuff in the ring, and I'm like, what is this? This is terrible. But then Del Rio locks on the cross leg breaker, and Big Show is just unable to compete, so Del Rio wins. But that was a really weird and horrible ending, and it just, you know, everyone was just a bit like, what? It was so rubbish, and just, you know, didn't do any favours to Del Rio, didn't make him look great, and it just made Big Show look, you know, I don't know. It was a weird ending. I didn't really like that match, to be honest. I have to confess, the next match I fell asleep during, it was Wade Barrett versus Ezekiel Jackson. I watched it, you know, Wade Barrett came out and was like talking about like a load of stuff, and then the next thing I knew, like Ezekiel Jackson was in the ring holding the title saying he'd won, and I was like, okay, so either that match was really boring, or, like, to be fair, I did have really bad headaches, so I think that's what made me sleep. But yeah, so I can't tell you what I thought about the match, but from reviews that I've read, it wasn't really that amazing, but apparently it wasn't that bad either. Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk was a very, very, very good match. I was, you know, it was like their previous matches they've had on Raw, but obviously a lot longer and better. So they just worked really well together. So Punk did this nice bit at the start, like he plants Rey Mysterio face first onto his barrier, which just looked really painful, but it was a really nice spot. I just love the way that these guys, they like counter like each other's moves really well. I know it's obviously because they fought each other so many times that they know what to expect, but it just looks really nice with the way they do it. It's not like all messy and sloppy like a lot of the wrestlers do. It just looks really good. So Rey Mysterio hits a 619 like, around the ring post on the outside, but obviously he can't get the pin, so he goes in the ring. CM Punk tries to hit the go to sleep, but it gets countered into like a Hurricane Rana pin, but only gets a 2 count. Punk does one of his, you know, kicks to the head, and that only gets a 2 count. Yes, and then he goes for the go sleep again, but that gets countered, and so Ray kind of, you know, jumps out of it and then knocks him down to do the 619, but that gets countered, and like as he's like swinging around, Punk catches him and puts him on his shoulders. I love how I'm like doing like the action thing, and then hits the go to sleep for the win. So, you know, that's quite a surprise because Punk doesn't really win on pay-per-view that much. Especially against like Rey Mysterio, he used to like lose like a lot, so it was actually good to see CM Punk win for once, even though, you know, and I've heard that he's like might be leaving, which is kind of sucks, because even though I go on about that, I don't like CM Punk. He's actually kind of growing on me. He's a good heel, okay. I like the way that he acts like a heel. He kind of just annoys me, his like personality and stuff, but he is a good wrestler, I'll give him that. Next match, World Heavyweight Championship match, between Randy Orton and Christian, obviously. Did anyone else notice at the start, like, Christian was on the ground and Randy Orton was going for, like, a stomp to the head, but he, like, lost his balance and completely missed Christian's head and had to do it again. I laughed and rewound that, like, 5 times. But the fact that he managed to mess up a stomp is quite, you know, hilarious. But, yeah, this match, it was alright. It wasn't as good, I didn't think, as their previous matches that it had, but it was still pretty good anyway. I like the, you know, normally I'm not really much for like the kind of psychology thing, but I thought they did that really well in this match, obviously because of Orton's head, because he got concussed, and he was still, you know, actually acted that as if he was, you know, in the, like, compared to like the Big Show's match where he just didn't sell the whole leg injury at all. In this one, Orton did, like, you know, sell like the injuries and stuff that he had, so I thought it was really good. Some nice spots in there. Randy Orton goes for the RKO, but Christian counters it into a reverse DDT. There's like a nice spear RKO counter bit. Christian goes for the spear but misses. Orton tries to hit the RKO, but Christian pushes him away, and then he does actually hit the spear, but that only gets a 2 count. Obviously Christian's getting really frustrated by this point. But then Christian, I think he goes up top, but he kind of jumps down, like he tries to do a move, but like misses Orton, and then Orton hits the RKO for the win. I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say, honestly, I'm tired. But yeah, so Orton won, but obviously the ref didn't realise at the time, but Christian actually had his foot like under the rope, so obviously that should have been like a rope break, but obviously the ref didn't see it and Orton won, so obviously that could mean that their feud is going to continue because Christian will protest that he's been screwed out of the title yet again. But I wonder why you know, like when they announce it, like obviously says Randy Orton. I mean, his name's Orton, but it always says Randy Orton. Like it misses out the O. Why do they do that? It's Orton. It's got like another O in it. Can they not announce someone's name properly? But yeah, and then obviously Christian's still complaining, but then obviously as he turns around, Randy Orton like whacks him in the head with the title. It's payback for what Christian's done to him in the last 2 weeks on SmackDown. So yeah, like a good match, but just not as good as the first 2. Then they said, oh, this is a special bonus attraction, and I was like, okay then, and it was like Jack Swagger versus Evan Bourne, and it was like, wow, the crowd did not care about this match at all. My legs are going numb. It was a pretty dull match, to be honest. Evan Bourne wins after he like counters like the Jack Swagger's ankle lock and like turns it into a pin, so that wasn't really very interesting. Then they had like the most awful thing in the world. It was like they were pretending they had like the fake President Obama, and it was awful. I'm sorry if anybody enjoyed that, then okay, but it was just embarrassing, and I can't even talk about that because it was that bad. Booker T getting in the ring and doing spinner reads, and it was awful. Give for that bit, it's just embarrassing and will make you cringe and just want to shoot yourself in the head. Anyway, so main event obviously was the WWE title match between R-Truth and John Cena. obviously this one wasn't going to be a very good match. Like R-Truth, he's got the gimmick part done really well, and he can talk really well, obviously, but just his wrestling ability really still isn't that good, or not good enough to be in a main event title match. Just that, you know, R-Truth was in control for most of it, which was pretty unbelievable anyway. But then John Cena locks on the STF, but R-Truth actually does get to the rope, so he breaks out, and then he goes like out to the outside, and there's like a little kid John Cena fan in the crowd, so he drinks some of his water and then hands it back to him, but the kid chucks the water back in R-Truth's face, and then he gets attitude adjusted for the win for Cena. So yeah, a lot of people obviously have been moaning about the finish. They're saying, oh, it's so stupid, blah blah blah. But to be honest, I don't know. I laughed. I thought it was quite funny, but everyone's gonna like hate on me now because I actually thought it was quite amusing, the finisher of that match. But well, to be honest, you know, it can't continue with the feud. I mean, it was the whole thing. It was all about the water thing and whatever. That's what started it. Obviously, when he was like drinking water during the match and stuff, and it's obviously the Cena's fans' way of, you know, getting back at him because R-Truth threw water at a John Cena fan like a previous week on Raw. So it fitted, and you know, you knew that Cena was going to win anyway, so I don't know why people are moaning so much. It's, you know, it made sense. So yeah, so overall it was a pretty decent pay-per-view, like I said. You know, obviously a couple of dull matches there, but obviously a couple of good ones as well. So what more do you really expect from WWE? But I think if they got rid of that Obama skit, that would have been fine. Could have lived with the pay-per-view. Could have actually said it was a good pay-per-view, but that just, it's awful. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. I feel like I've been talking for absolutely ever. So yeah, I will be back tomorrow with my with my Raw review. I can't talk. I don't even need mouth, honestly. But that'd be weird though, because if I had a new mouth, then I probably wouldn't talk the same, and I would talk a lot slower, and that would just be weird. You guys used to me rambling on. But yeah, anyway, so thanks for watching this really weird video, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye!